The ultimate timeline between the absence of officers moving to contact to address this threat, to eliminating this threat, and then beginning to treat anyone who was injured was in excess of over 20 minutes.
Unfortunately, this video is going to bring a lot of anti-cop rhetoric into the comments, and I completely understand that's just the way it is. This is one of the reasons why stigmas actually exist. But I want to highlight three major things in this video, and one is that this is not an isolated incident. Two, officers who are doing the right thing, who are trying to be capable individuals, who do want to respond and help people that need our help, also have to deal with these other officers who don't want to show up and don't want to do anything. And three, one of the things that I repeat over and over again on this channel is becoming a capable individual so that you don't have to rely on the police. Because if you're relying on the police for your personal safety, then there's just a likelihood that one, I guess they may not show up, and two, if they do show up, you just don't know what kind of officer that you're going to get. So maybe if you're looking for an unbiased review of law enforcement incidents, you can like this video, leave a comment down in the comment section, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. At 5:39 a.m., the female victim's estranged husband arrives at his father-in-law's house, where the victim is currently staying with their 4-year-old daughter. At 6 a.m., the father-in-law steps outside where he's shot multiple times and killed by the suspect. The suspect then enters the home, and the female victim and the 4-year-old flee. The suspect chases after the female, tases her, and drags her back into the residence. At 6:01, a neighbor calls the police.
What's the address of the emergency?
First call comes in.
It's not my address, but I live at 9762 North Grand Duke Circle. There's a gunshot wound on the next street. I'm like, oh my God. Boom, 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 boom. And I heard it several more times.
How many times would you say?
I probably heard it like 4 rounds.
Okay. How many minutes ago?
Less than a minute ago.
Mark units receiving a 33 just occurred in 2 zone 9762 North Grand Duke Circle, next street just east of. Caller advised for gunshots and screams. And someone saying, oh my God, heard about 4 rounds less than a minute ago. Advised he's still here and screaming. Units declare copy.
At 6:03, a sergeant orders the responding officers to rally in the area.
Advise a common meeting location or rally point.
At 6:05, a patrol officer identifies the rally point.
It was 56 and State Road and Knoxville Road.
Copy, rally point for State Road 7 and Knoxville.
At this point, the closest officer is roughly 2 minutes from the call location.
I believe some of the units were licensed. Actually, you'll see it blow coming by in a second. Some were licensed sirens responding to the surrounding area. But as you can see, a couple units bypassed the residency and took a staging position per the sergeant's instruction and decided to rally out there.
At 6:06, the victim flees from the residence towards a house across the street. The female victim is frantically banging on neighbors' doors while being tracked closely by the suspect. If the officers would have went directly to the scene, they likely would have seen the female suspect running down the street. The female victim is finally able to enter a neighboring residence. The suspect enters behind her where he kills the female and the owner of the house. An additional caller contacts 911 to report the second shooting.
I'm hearing noise. I don't know if it's gunshots. 5901 North Palm Bay Parkway, Tamarack, Florida 33321. I hear sirens screaming, so I'll recall. I'm not sure.
Do you see anybody outside shooting or anything like that?
And I haven't seen anything with my eyes, but I'm almost certain that I heard screaming and it's like a popping noise. It could have been shooting. I can't confirm though.
You're still hearing shots and talking right now, right?
I'm sorry, can I hear a little muffled?
You're hearing shots and talking right.
From what I'm understanding, yes. Caller is advising that it's the neighbors directly behind his 1020, but he doesn't know the neighbors. Then stated he heard 2 shots, then advised it was a total of 9 shots altogether. We are now receiving a second complaint advising that a woman is screaming and possible gunshots as well.
At 6:12 a.m., the sergeant arrives in the area, and you can see the suspect and the daughter are within view of the sergeant's patrol car. As this sergeant is stopped at the stop sign, all he had to do was make a right-hand turn to get to the actual call location. At 6:13 a.m., an officer arrives on scene who actually drove across 3 different cities to arrive before the officers who were staging. Eventually, they discover the body in the backyard and subsequently the deceased male and female inside the house.
Anyone carrying a badge and gun who think that's acceptable, you have the ability to resign today. This has nothing to do about protecting our own. We're here to protect the community first.
21 officers were disciplined, 8 were terminated, and the suspect was later found in a vehicle with the 4-year-old girl. The sheriff seems like a good dude. He seems like he has his stuff together. He's talking tough. He's saying all the right things. But I think we can all agree that asking officers at this point, you know, if they're already officers, to quit their job if they don't feel like they're up to the task isn't something that they're going to do, and therefore that's not something that's actually going to solve this problem.
There is some level of liability on the sergeant's position for some of the orders he gave, and that's why he is gone. In addition to comments that he made in his own internal affairs investigations, what indicated to us and his troops that he was absolutely a coward. Any other way to put it. I talk all the time in this profession. I can train you, I can supply you, I can give you all the tools to be successful. What I can't coach is courage and effort. And if you're going to sign up for this profession, you better make sure you have both of those first, or don't join this profession. That's not just BSO, that's not just Broward County, that's every officer in this country right now. Because this stuff keeps happening. And it has nothing to do, at times, with whether or not people are prepared.
Again, it sounds great to ask people not to join this profession unless they feel like they're up to the task, or they will be up to the task if they're called upon to intervene in an event like this. But ultimately, we can do more to prevent people that we don't think are capable of responding or don't think have the courage or the commitment or the will to respond to incidents like this through ever, one, becoming police officers, but two, making it through the academy.
And we've had officers out here who've demonstrated that they understood policy, they understood procedures, and they executed their mission saving lives. So that's off the plate. This is not an administrative organizational failure issue, nor is it anything that is systemic and that now we have to restructure, change policies, reinvest.
I know plenty of people that train police officers in the academy, and they talk about things that they see, whether it's officer safety related or it's tactical skills related, decision making related as it relates to these types of things. And they talk about how they can't even get rid of people if they wanted to. So again, it's great to ask people not to join, but to act like there's nothing that law enforcement as a whole can do about this, I would have to push back on that. And it could be as simple as asking a question. When I went through the police academy almost 10 years ago, I remember them asking the entire class, and I think it was like 50 or 60 people, and cadets, and they asked, if you respond to a school and there's an active shooter and you're there by yourself, how many of you are going to go in by yourself, and how many are you going to wait for backup? And there was about 50% of the class said that they were going to go in without waiting for backup, and 50% of the class said that they were going to wait for backup. So that should tell you right there, right? I mean, you can't even, we're not even talking about doing the thing. We're just talking about answering the right question to what makes the most sense that prioritizes the people that you're supposed to be there to help. The officer that did arrive first, you can hear him on his body camera saying, "Why the hell is everybody sitting around?" Basically, the officer that drove across 3 cities. And like I said, this is something that officers who are trying to do the right thing also have to deal with, which is, again, why each individual officer, nobody's coming for you. You're going to have to do these things likely on your own. So these people talk about these tactics, these team tactics, what the one man's going to do, what the two man's going to do, what the three man's going to do. And at the end of the day, you can only essentially rely on yourself. I responded to what would be a code 1, lights and sirens, to an assault in progress, a domestic, and I was the 3rd officer to take that call. I drove to that scene from a distance well greater than the other 2 first officers, 1st and 2nd officer, who were dispatched to that domestic violence situation. I arrived before them, but not only did I arrive before them, which when I got there, I was like, where the hell are they? But I walked up the stairs to the complex, found the location where the domestic was occurring, and tried to buy myself some time, but ultimately couldn't wait and had to start dealing with this individual who was inside this apartment by myself. And I essentially handled that whole call by myself, found out that there was nothing really going on in terms of an actual assault, and that they were going to figure this out amongst themselves, and then walk down to my police car. I'm getting down to my police car, and now this primary officer is actually showing up to this call, which never should have happened. So again, I'm just reinforcing that most cops ride by themselves, right? Maybe you have a partner, then you're lucky, but you can't depend on these other officers because you just don't know what they're going to do or what their performance is going to be.